Everything you do only says you gotta figure it out.
Hey, what's up guys? George Lyons here and welcome back to the Soccernomics YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about Southampton Football Club. Now, Southampton Football Club have recently been bought out, they've got new owners, and there's a lot of things about this deal that are really, really interesting that I really want to explain, clarify all the finite details, and what to look forward to and what to expect in the future. Now, before I do get into today's episode, guys, obviously I just got to let you know, if you like this sort of content, football finance, football economics, that sort of stuff, then this really is the channel for you. So I can't stress enough how much I can encourage you to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button as well, so you can stay notified for every single upload. But apart from that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So, Sport Republic have purchased Gao Jisheng's 80% stake in Southampton Football Club for a reported fee of around £100 million. This brings an end to the pretty underwhelming 4-year ownership of Southampton Football Club by Gao Jisheng, the Chinese billionaire, in which the club has really failed to see any major investment or improvements during his time, and honestly flirted with relegations on numerous occasions. Sport Republic are a London-based investment firm who specialise in the sports and entertainment industry. Co-founded by Rasmus Ankersen and Henrik Kraft, they've only been incorporated since the 9th of December 2021. Now, you probably recognise the name Rasmus Ankersen. The reason being for that is because he used to be, up until recently, the co-director of football at Brentford Football Club and also the chairman of FC Midtjylland. But his expertise do go further than football. He's also a successful author, public speaker, and investor. Henrik Kraft, on the other hand, has vast experience in private equity, investing in technology and telecommunications companies. However, recently he's really turned his attention to sports technology and esports, including an app for footballers called Tonza, which helps young footballers really try and get to the next level, helping them showcase what they've achieved on the pitch and off the pitch. Ankersen is also an investor and a board member of the app. Sport Republic's vision is to apply data analytics and proprietary intelligence to help football clubs and sports technology companies reach their full potential, and I definitely didn't get that off their LinkedIn page. The firm is backed by leading investor Dragan Solak, a Serbian businessman who is the founder of United Group, a leading telecommunications and media provider in the southeast of Europe, with more than 13,000 employees and an annual revenue of 1.8 billion euros. Now, although Dragan Solak is the lead investor of Sport Republic, he has not purchased Southampton Football Club. He is not the owner, and that is really important to understand here. It is Sport Republic, which is Henrik Kraft and Rasmus Ankersen. United Group made a private investment into Sport Republic on the behalf of Dragan Solak, probably because Kraft actually used to be on the board of United Group. So that means that Solak is not going to be involved in any decision making on the club, and nor is he responsible on the performance of the club either. Now, there's a few interesting things about this deal that are really worth mentioning. For starters, it's worth pointing out that Gao Jisheng 4 years ago purchased his 80% stake from Catherine Lieber, who still owns the remaining 20%, for £210 million. However, 4 years later, he has now sold his 80% stake for £100 million. Yeah, that's right, so £110 million less 4 years on. So, yeah, doesn't really make any sense, does it? So, I mean, does this mean that the original valuation from Gao Jisheng is completely off, or have Sport Republic really got themselves a coup here? Well, given that Jisheng has openly advertised Southampton Football Club for sale with eagerness as well, slashing his original price tag of £250 million all the way down to £200 million, only to still continue to fail to find a buyer who is willing to meet him on a price tag, that can't have helped. When people know you want something off your hands, they know that you'd be willing to let it go for a lot less just for the convenience. There could be many reasons as to why Jisheng has been so reluctant to invest in the club further and also wants to sell the club. One of the reasons could be because his company, Landa Sports Development Company, could be quite exposed to the real estate crisis that's been going on in Asia. He also could just be over when it comes to owning the club. Could be just well over it. I mean, shortly after he purchased the club, the policies and restrictions behind international investment from China really did change, and that could have done something as well where he just didn't want to own a football club anymore. But yeah, there could be many reasons. But for £100 million, for 80% of a stake of a Premier League football club, that just doesn't make any sense, does it? That has to be an absolute steal. I mean, you think of it like this. This is about a third of the price of what the owners of Newcastle United paid for their club. And if that really doesn't make any sense to you guys either, if that doesn't put it into perspective, that is the same price as what Manchester City paid for Jack Grealish. Weird, right? Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. Let's clear up a few things here. So, yes, the 80% shares of Southampton Football Club are probably worth around £100 million, but the enterprise value of the club, so the equity and the debt value of the club, is more worth around £200 million, and that is sort of what they would have paid for that stake of the club. So in June 2020, Southampton took out a loan with MSD Capital of £78.8 million with a 9.14% interest per annum. Now, this was in an attempt to try and quash the losses and the financial effect that the COVID pandemic had on the club, in which they lost £23 million off of their revenue, and they also made an overall loss of £76 million for the financial year. Therefore, Sport Republic would have had to pay for this financial debt as well that is on the club, and that is sort of more around the £200 million valuation, which makes way more sense, and that is why, Jisheng selling the club for £100 million as opposed to his initial stake of £210 million 4 years before didn't make any sense, and this is why. The next interesting part about this deal is the fact that no leverage at all was used to finance this deal. Now, why am I pointing this out? Well, for Southampton fans, this means that your club is instantly not being burdened with more debt, and that means that you can free up more cash flow, and the assets and the future revenue streams of the club are not being used to be able to finance this purchase, which instantly makes the club in a healthier position. Unlike what happened with the recent Burnley Football Club takeover, which was purchased using the cash that was already existing on Burnley Football Club's balance sheet and the rest using debt, instantly taking a club from a healthy financial position to, of course, being in debt. Now, debt isn't a bad thing. It is used all the time. It's a common tool when it comes to purchasing assets in the financial world, but it is a little bit more risky when you're trying to purchase a football club, in particular a Premier League football club, with debt. The problem with purchasing a Premier League football club with debt is the fact that the valuation of the club is propped up by the forward revenue streams of being a Premier League football club. And relegation can be very bad news for not only the valuation of the football club, because less revenue streams in the future means that the value of the club is a lot lower, but it also means that there is less revenue to be able to invest in the club, instead having to pay off what you are paying in terms of the debt of the club outstanding. And we already know that the revenue streams from being a Premier League club to a Championship club is worlds apart, and it's even worse if you don't actually get promoted again within 3 years of being relegated. If you want to know why, you should have a look in one of our previous videos. I'll put it up here as well on the parachute payments, and they actually might be going as well. So yeah, as you can see, this is a very risky move for the Burnley owners, because they are facing the very real possibility of being relegated this season, and that can have a huge effect on not only the valuation of the club, but also how they're going to finance and invest further in the club in the future. And relegation definitely isn't out of the question for Southampton Football Club either, who have been flirting with relegation over the past, 3-4 seasons. And this is something that the Southampton hierarchy have really identified, and they really wanted to point out that they don't want to be purchased with debt, because that can really affect and expose the club financially. So what does this mean for Southampton Football Club? Well, let's be honest, the reality is that this isn't going to be some sort of crazy new revolution at the club like what's going on at Newcastle United. This just isn't that type of takeover at all. In fact, the day-to-day operations of the club are pretty much going to be remained unchanged. The reason being is because Southampton Football Club are under the umbrella of Southampton Football Group Limited. Now, Rasmus Ankersen and Henrik Kraft will be on the board of not Southampton Football Club, St Mary's Football Group Limited, but they will not be on the board of Southampton FC. So the CEO, Martin Semmens, will still be the CEO. He will still be in charge of running the club, and the director of football, Matt Crocker, will still be the director of football, despite Rasmus Ankersen's expertise and experience in that role. Everything is pretty much going to be remaining the same. However, the bigger picture aspect of this takeover of Southampton Football Club is the fact that Sport Republic have made it very obvious and very clear that this is not the only football club they're going to be acquiring. This is part of a whole bigger plan of creating their own multi-club ownership model, which is going to be part of their investment portfolio, along with other sports technology companies like that of Tonza, which I mentioned before. The goal is to help these clubs and businesses reach their full potential. And with Southampton, there is so much potential. I mean, think about it. These guys were in Europe not even, 5 years ago, and they've got one of the best transfer policies as well. These guys also have a very established fan base, a very decent stadium as well. They've got a world-class academy as well that produces talents all the time, and it's a very decent catchment area as well. There's not too many massive clubs around them that are doing well at the moment. I mean, there's Portsmouth, there is... Who else? There's Brighton not too far away, and AFC Bournemouth, but you can arguably say that Southampton is the biggest of them all. Sorry, Portsmouth fans. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that the foundations for success are already there. This is not a club that are trying to build from the bottom. This is a club who have been an established Premier League club for since like 2012 was it when they got promoted to the Premier League? And obviously they've achieved so much since then. They've obviously staggered a little bit. They've reached a plateau and flirted with relegation a little bit, but they are a club who have proven that they can do it at the top. And that is something that should be very exciting for Southampton fans, because with these new owners that are a lot more ambitious, that want to try and get results and get a return on investment on what they're trying to do, this can only be a good thing, right? Especially with the likes of Rasmus Ankersen, Henrik Kraft, who have experience in not only director of football recruitment, data analytics. Obviously, Southampton's got their famous black box as well, which is, they've always been into data analytics as well. But this is, if I was a Southampton fan, I'd be very excited right now to see what is going on with the club. And yeah, we can only see what the future holds for them. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you're a Southampton fan, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're not a Southampton fan, if you wanted to hear, get your voice out there and talk about this sort of situation, I'd love to hear from you guys. So be sure to hit the comment section. Also, if you like this episode, be sure to leave us a like. And also, if you like this sort of content, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. Help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Once we've done that, we can try and aim for bigger heights as well and grow the channel to be the best it can possibly be. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you very soon.
God down and hope it comes back around, 'cause I still just feel like I'm gonna keep running.